We're live. What is up, Giants fans, Big Blue Nation? It's Rob and Donald. This is Nerding Out Sports, and Giants had a bye week, and so did we, but we are back as the Giants are back. And shout out to Tony Clark, who was in here before we went live saying Texans Nation. Got to have somebody representing them, so good thing it's Tony. But now, welcome to the stream, Tony. It's good to see you. And Donald, football is back. Giants football is back. We had the week off, the bye week, much needed, 6-2, and we're looking to go 7-2 as the 6-1 Texans come to town. How are we feeling going into Sunday tomorrow afternoon?
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a battle between the running backs. Pierce is obviously having a potential Rookie of the Year, offensive Rookie of the Year season for the Texans, and in our case, Saquon's been, probably the best running back in the league. So I think it's going to be a good tight matchup between the two running backs. I think the Giants have the edge, but I think the Texans are going to keep it close.
Yeah, they've lost 3 straight, but even last week they were hanging in there with Philly until Philly just said, all right, enough's enough, and they just kind of beat the brakes off them in the second half. But they've been able to hang around a few times, but then it just seems like their defense is very susceptible to giving up points at certain – like they can just give up points in bunches. So if the Giants are going to go off at any point this season for an offensive game, this could be the one, or these next 2 could be the games that they do it. But I feel like they kind of have to avoid that fourth quarter comeback with a team like the Texans. This should be a team that you beat, not going to say by 14 or more points, but you shouldn't have issues getting the W.
Let's see what Tony Clark's got to say about his Texans. Low-scoring running game, not a big passing game on either side in my eyes. That's exactly how I view it. I think it's going to be a battle of the running games. Tony, obviously, you're more intimate in your knowledge of the Texans than we are because we don't watch them every week. Is there a certain player that we should be looking out for that's maybe unheralded that's having a really good year on your side? It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that. In the meantime, the Giants, Xavier McKinney's been up to stuff that he probably shouldn't have been doing in the bye week, and now he's hurt. And what do you think about Xavier McKinney?
Yeah, he's been the hot topic during the bye week. It was the trade deadline that wasn't, and then it was the McKinney injury, which kind of came out of nowhere because he announced it on Twitter. Just said that he hurt his hand on an ATV accident. Obviously, I'm disappointed, as everybody is. I'm sure he's disappointed as well. The team is. Sometimes you just want players to be a little more cautious, but I don't know if it was like a freak thing that something just happened that you really couldn't control. Maybe, did it flip? If that was the case, and thankfully it wasn't more serious, he's going to miss a few weeks, but it's a bye week. Players are going to do what they want during the bye. Most players go home, spend time with their families, but he was doing some sightseeing, he said, and then
they said it a lot.
Yeah, some sightseeing. Who knows what he was looking at, but something went wrong, and the hand is out of commission for a few weeks. It sucks because he's such a good player, defensive captain, and already kind of weakened secondary. So now Julian Love's going to have to really step up. Tony Jefferson, if he plays, he's going to have to step up, and we'll see who takes that next step. Dane Belton's been really good this year, so opportunity knocking.
I think Tony Jefferson's hurt.
Is he? Because I think Stapleton just said earlier that Landon Collins is probably not playing tomorrow.
Oh my God. Because he would have been my immediate replacement for the box safety that we need now in order to neutralize Pierce. With McKinney's injury, it hurts us because obviously our coverage linebackers are not good.
Yeah.
And obviously, if Pierce gets beyond the line of scrimmage and he's attacking our linebackers and secondary, we might be struggling, and that's where we really needed McKinney. So it certainly hurts. I was hoping Landon Collins would have been available. So it's a tough one. Do you think there should be punishment for him?
Punishment? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there'll be some like private. Maybe he has to pay a fine or something. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't think you suspend him or anything like that when he comes back from the injury because he's just too important to this defense. But I would hope that Dable and Shane already, if there was any punishment, they kind of got that out of the way already. So there's no time. Like let's wait till he's back from injury and then punish him. So it's just adding insult to the injury. But I would assume that. I would guess at least that something was already done kind of behind the scenes because I don't think they want anything to leak out, anything that doesn't need to be leaked out. This is a very tight group here. This very tight-knit thing they're running. So I guess if there's anything, maybe he paid a fine or when he comes back, he'll have to – maybe when his first game back, they have him sit like the first series or something on defense. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I would definitely fine him. I think contractually, it's in his contract that he can't be using ATVs. It says so specifically in most NFL players' contracts to prohibits the use of ATVs and another kind of motorized off-road vehicles. So when he was being asked about it, and he just kept repeating sightseeing. Were you driving? I was sightseeing. Were you driving? I was sightseeing. Were you driving? I was sightseeing. Hello. I think it means he was driving. I think it means he was driving. But obviously, you can't say that he was driving, or you'd probably be in a lot of trouble. But I don't think that's the kind of behavior that I expect from a team captain.
Right.
If I was Dable and I was Joe Shane, I would say, you're the play caller on our defense for a reason. You're a captain of our defense for a reason. And when you're a captain of the Giants, I expect you to behave like a freaking giant on and off the field. And that is not behavior befitting a Giant, in my opinion. I'm quite disappointed in him, really. That kind of stuff and you could have done in your off season. There's months of off season that you could have gone and done all the ATVs you want, but
yeah,
why would you put yourself in any position where there's even a chance of something like that happening? You know what I mean? When you're using off-road vehicles, anything can happen. Yeah. Anything,
Yeah, you're right. Plenty of time to go sightseeing in the off season. Even though it's the bye week and you're allowed to. It's a bye week for a reason. You should probably hold off on stuff like that because I know it has nothing. It's not similar because it happened with back in 2003 with the Yankees when Aaron Boone was playing basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And he got hurt and it caused him to have to go get Alex Rodriguez. It's obviously a different scenario, but you can't help but think maybe don't do something that could get you hurt and put the team in a predicament because we were already thin. In the secondary, and now our best member of the secondary, or at least in the safety room, is out, and a team captain, like you said. So it's certainly disappointing, but I just hope for the best when he comes back. He's ready to go, and because we know how important he is to this team. So I would assume that all the punishment stuff that had to happen is over with, and we'll get him back at some point this season. I just hope that he's okay.
If he was sightseeing, I mean, couldn't you have just gone sightseeing in a 4x4 or a Land Rover? Yeah. Something where you maybe have a little element of protection instead of a freaking off-road vehicle. Oh my God! So that's why I have serious concerns about A, his judgment, and B, what exactly his sightseeing was. I mean, what was he doing for the love of God?
How far could he have gone, right? From New Jersey, or how far could he have gone?
I heard he was in Cabo. What on earth was he doing in Cabo that would require off-road vehicles that would end up hurting his arm? But that's for the FBI to figure out.
That's a typical Giants injury right there.
It really is. It really is.
Tony said, "Look out for Dorsett." He said Dorsett will be the wide receiver 1, and also looking for Stingley to have another great game. He hasn't given up a touchdown this season. He's been great, and big shout out to Alex, Big Blue in the Bronx. Always good to see you. And Tony also says Pierce more yards after contact than anyone. Oh, he also has more yards. Okay, so if the Giants can't stop him at the line, it could be a long. That's usually the case. Alex said Jihad Ward was doing a wheelie on an ATV. What is with the ATVs? It's like you said, you have it in the contract for a reason. Stay off.
Yeah.
Goddamn ATVs.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't have even thought about doing that stuff if I was playing football. There's so many things that could happen. Oh, there's so many things that can happen when you're playing football. So why in your rest time would you put yourself in a position to be in even more of a dangerous situation than you already are when you're playing football? Oh dear, Jihad Ward, yeah, man, he's obviously a better driver than Mr. McKinney. Maybe McKinney needs to take some driving lessons from Jihad Ward.
Keep his eyes on the road at least.
Yeah.
He was just sightseeing, so we don't know who was driving. Maybe he was on the back of the ATV when Jihad Ward popped that wheelie, and Xavier was like, "Woo!" And I don't know, because he was just sightseeing, right? We don't know the full story.
I know, that's all he said. I'm sightseeing, so we just have to trust that he was sightseeing.
It's just it keeps rearing its ugly head, even in a year like this where things are going so well and things are different. You have that typical Giants thing that has to go down. It's just no matter who's in charge, what regime it is, something is going to happen that makes you go, "Yep, that's the New York Giants."
It is, and Tony's got a comment for you.
Jesus Christ? What is with the ATVs, man? It needs to be banned, and if you're on an ATV, you're gone for like a minimum 3 games. I don't know, depending on the sport. Jesus, you're right about that. I completely forgot. Well, Tatis is now the news is because of performance enhancements. So, Jesus Christ, motorcycle. It was a motorcycle, but similar, very close. Just Stop putting yourselves in danger when you're about to go play a game.
Yeah, like JPP when he was playing with fireworks.
Kaboom!
Blew his thumb off, right?
I think it was it the thumb or was it? Because he had to wear that club right after what happened, and that thing was scary.
That's
right. It's just a long history of players that do stupid things off the field, and it cost them on the field. So we don't know exactly the time frame. He said a couple of weeks, but I'm assuming it'll be sometime in December. He's going to miss at least a month worth of games, which sucks.
Yeah, it is, man. But that saying never fails. Fuck around and find out.
And he fucked around. He found out. So
that is my advice for all viewers. Just keep that in the back of your mind. If you ever do something that might be questionable, just think, fuck around and find out. Is it worth finding out? Probably not worth fucking around.
Probably not. But let's get back to the game here. The guys that will be on the field, they're gonna, as Tony mentioned, Pierce is very good after contact. And that's
right.
One thing the Giants had a little trouble with at the end of the Seattle game was tackling. So they've been a little bit better at it this year, but we've also had trouble with running backs for the most part this season. So this is going to be a real test. No McKinney, who steps up. We know our linebackers aren't very good, but Micah McFadden seemed to play much better last week, and Tay Crowder's snaps have been dropping, and his have been increasing. So will we see more Micah McFadden on Sunday against the Texans?
He's actually had a pretty good year. I've been quite happy with McFadden. He's getting better week on week. Certainly looks more and more comfortable and getting used to the speed of the NFL. So no, he's looking better, man. I like to see him more than Crowder. Although Crowder obviously has had 1 or 2 great weeks already this year, so he's still going to have an important role to play. But no, I've been happy with McFadden. I'd like to see increased reps for him. Obviously, the linebacker scenario was very important. Outside linebacker situation is quite important too, because on opposite of Thibodeau, Ojulari's constantly hurt right now. Obviously, X-Man's been hurt. for a while. I believe he's limited participant.
Yes.
We'll get our injury report up. Yeah. So we also desperately need Jihad Ward to be okay because we're relying on him opposite Thibodeau. What can you tell us about the injury report?
All right. Well, as of yesterday afternoon, Daniel Bellinger, as we know, he won't be playing. Evan Neal won't be playing. Cordell Flott, Kenny Galladay, O'Shane Jimenez were limited, and Richie James was full practice from his concussion protocol. So, and it looks like we were getting O'Shane Jimenez back. We get O'Shane back, and Ellerson Smith is active. So O'Shane will be back, according to Alex. That is big news. Very big news. Thank you. And Ellerson Smith's so interesting because they were really hyping him up despite being like a late round pick. They were like, this guy can be pretty good. And even this year, they were kind of hyping him up. Some players like, yeah, there's something special here. But he hasn't really seen the field a lot. So with injuries to Ojulari and who knows how active we'll have Jimenez, I'm sure he's going to have to be off the field a little bit. He's just coming back from the what was his injury? The quad. So who knows how many snaps he'll see. It'll be interesting to see what Ellerson Smith can bring. But this defense has to start generating more pressure. That's just a fact. I mean, they've gotten pressure. If Thibodeau doesn't get held every play, he'll probably have at least 6 sacks by now. But they got to generate more pressure. That's the best way they can help out this weakened secondary.
It's really good news to have X-Man back because he's actually been an X factor. Forgive the pun. He's played really, really well opposite Thibodeau whenever he's healthy. So it's good to have him back. Obviously, the pass rush has been kind of there. We're kind of getting pressures, but we're not obviously getting the sack numbers that we need.
Right.
But it's been kind of there. Obviously, Jihad Ward I've been very happy with. X-Man I've been happy with. And you're right. Thibodeau's being held a ridiculous amount. I don't even understand how the officials have been missing it. It's happening every single week. People are grabbing him by the neck, and it seems to be completely fine. I don't know if that's just because he's a rookie or whether they're just deliberately turning a blind eye to it. But that needs to be fixed because it has been kind of crazy with the officiating in Thibodeau.
Yeah, it's annoying because, I understand he should have more sacked. I'm not talking about he needs to have more sacks for me to think he's been a good player. He's been outstanding to me. He hasn't really shown up in the stat sheet, and that's because of the fact that if he's being held that much, that means he is beating these guys, and it's happening a lot. I mean, we go back to the game against the Bears. They triple-teamed him, and that was his second game. They were triple-teaming Buddy, so it's just like he's doing something well if he's getting double-teamed, triple-teamed. He's getting held around the neck.
That's how afraid they are of him.
Yeah, he's a fearsome guy, and I'm very glad we have him. It's just I can't help but be selfish or, be like, I want to see the sack total go up. I want to be like, there's my boy Kayvon. He's showed up on the stat sheet. We know what he's doing is definitely having an impact on the game. You just want to see it show up on the stat sheet a little bit because you can be like, that's my dog right there. But we understand if you really watch the games, like, he's certainly having an impact. You just wish that the offensive lineman would get called for holding, because they are trying to rip the guy's head off with the way they're holding him. And the referees are just saying, I don't see nothing. And it's annoying, especially as a fan. We're going to be biased. It's very annoying seeing it happen week after week, play after play.
But if they are putting so much attention on Thibs, then obviously the opposite side, it'll be easier for the opposite side to get more pressure. And also in the interior, Dexter Lawrence, he's having an all-pro year, in my opinion. He's been phenomenal, absolute monster, and he is the key to stopping Pierce. But he also needs a little bit of help from Leo because Leo's been hurt for the last few weeks, and it's impacted his ability to completely shut down the run game. If we can get him, healthier than he's been and get back to 100% to partner Dex, then I'm confident that we can neutralize Pierce.
Yeah, Leo is certainly the X factor there because Dexter's done everything he possibly can. He's been our best player on defense so far this season, without a doubt. And now if you get, hopefully with the bye, if you get Leo as close as possible to 100%, that's going to make our run defense even better. So you're absolutely right. And how do you beat the Texans? We don't know what the situation with Cooks is. And Tony already mentioned that Dorsett's now their number one receiver. So you got to neutralize the run game. And it's something that we've been saying pretty much every week is make the quarterback beat you. And we gotta make Davis Mills beat us if we're gonna win
It's
this
all
game.
about matchups, really. Yeah. I think we match up pretty well with the Texans. Their main threat is the running game, and our strength is stopping the run. Plus, we've also got a number one corner ourselves who's been shut down, and Adoree Jackson. He's been a lockdown corner, in my opinion. He's had a very, very good year. You've also had a very strong year from Moreau on the other side. So I feel okay about the matchup defensively. I really do. It's just a matter of keeping Daniel Jones upright. So we need a little bit better from our interior offensive line, and we also need to be creative and get Saquon the ball as many times as humanly possible so he can win us the game. Because if we're going to win this game, it's all going to be because of Saquon.
That is, yeah, and that's our offense. It revolves around Saquon Barkley. Tony says Texans ran the ball extremely well against the Eagles, so I'm pretty confident in our running game this week, as you should be. I would like to see the Texans get at least 2 turnovers, though.
At least. Well, the Giants have done pretty well with turnovers. They don't really turn over the ball. Daniel Jones has paid a particular attention to protect the football. And obviously, Saquon Barkley just does not ever lose the ball. So we're doing pretty well in terms of turnovers. So I would say at least 2 is maybe a bit of a stretch. I mean, if you get 2, I think you'd be happy.
It could happen on special teams.
Well, that's our main threat, but our main problem right there. But from what I understand, they've been working out Adoree Jackson as a possible punt returner now. They've been trying out different alternatives because Richie James is obviously a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah, we don't want to go back and talk about what he did, but one guy we do know, will be playing, finally, Kenny Golladay will be back. He has been out for, 3-4 weeks, 4 games, and that's technically our trade deadline acquisition, I guess. We're going to be getting him back. Darius Slayton stepped up in a big way with all the injuries to the receivers. Wan'Dale Robinson's role has been kind of up and down since he's come back, but now you get Kenny Golladay out there. He's had a great attitude just because earlier in the year he was kind of like, I want the ball more. Then he got hurt and he was dropping passes. But then after the Tony trade, he's like, I want to get back out there. He's like, I want to be part of this thing. So I like that he's kind of changed his approach a little bit. He's changed his attitude, and hopefully they get him the ball because the dude hasn't had a touchdown for us, and it's been, 400 some odd days since his last touchdown in the NFL. So what are you expecting out of Kenny Golladay tomorrow?
Well, you would assume that Slayton will likely be matching up with Stingley. So on the other side, I expect it'll be Golladay instead of Richie James. And then you use Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot, I would say, is most likely. I want Golladay to, well, most of all, get himself open. If he can get himself open to allow an opportunity for Daniel Jones to find him, that's a win in my book. Regardless of the amount of catches, touchdowns, targets, whatever, I want to see Golladay run his routes better, crisper, and finally get a little bit of separation. If he's able to do that, then I'll feel a little bit happier. But you're right, man. I liked his attitude. It's a golden opportunity for him. We didn't make a deal at the deadline. I'm definitely, I think I'm with you. I think we're both in agreement that we would only have done a deal at the absolute right price because this is a long-term vision. And I feel like I'm probably in the minority, that I'm perfectly happy focusing on the future, but we've given an opportunity to Golladay. Golladay has this week to prove himself. do something, anything, please, and to justify that contract. But it would also help us immeasurably if we can go, right, we got Golladay that is, maybe is even if he's 60% of the Kenny Golladay that was at the Lions, that would be a win, right? Just give us something, anything that could just be helpful to Daniel Jones, another target. That means less Richie James, which is only a good thing. Less David Sills, which can only be a good thing. There's an opportunity for Golladay. It really is. It's waiting for him because we don't know whether Odell's going to choose the Giants. I hope he does. But in the meantime, it's on the outside. It's going to be Golladay and Darius Slayton. So let's ride it out and see what Golladay can give us.
And if anything, maybe he becomes sort of a decoy. Even if he's not getting open, he's not lighting up the stat sheet. Maybe he has 3-4 catches, something like that. It could allow someone like Slayton to be one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Maybe he gets open down the field. It could allow a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson to sneak in through the slot, as you mentioned earlier. He can have a big day. It could even allow a guy like Cager, who's going to be the tight end. Maybe he gets single coverage because he was wide open against Seattle, and Daniel Jones just missed it. So at the very least, it's another weapon that you have to worry about because nobody's worrying about David Sills on the outside. Nobody's worrying about Richie James. Like, we don't have to worry about these guys. They're going to Slayton. They're going to Wan'Dale, especially with Bellinger out as well. So now you get a big body that can go out and get it, go up and get it. Maybe we see them take a shot early on like we saw them do against Jacksonville. So if he's not doing it, I'm not expecting, he's going to have 9 receptions, 100-something yards, and a touchdown. No, just be healthy, be out there, and when you're on the field, be productive. So like you said, get separation. Show that you're healthier than you were to justify the fact that you were out for all these games because he's missed a ton of games since we signed him. And if from this point on he has a good enough season to somewhat justify that contract, I know this regime did not sign him, but we need to see that something close to that Detroit Kenny Golladay because it's so important for that kind of a weapon to be there for Daniel Jones because we're 6-2. We need to be able to move the ball more efficiently. That's not just Saquon Barkley because teams are just zeroing in on him. And you saw what Seattle did.
This is what I'll do. My game plan, if I were Kafka, I would design plays specifically for Golladay just to get him in a rhythm. Because it would be very difficult for him to find a rhythm if he's not getting any targets through the first half. And then he suddenly sees a ball come his way in the third quarter, he won't probably be in rhythm. I'd try and get him in rhythm as soon as possible. Get him involved in the offense as soon as possible. I think that would change everything. So I would design plays specifically for him, set a couple screens specifically for him. Get him open, get him a couple of easy catches, just to get himself back in a little bit of rhythm and help his rapport with Jones. I think that would be really important. It would also allow us to free up a little bit of room for Saquon Barkley. So that's what I would do. In the opening drive, I would try and target Golladay a couple times just to get him involved, and then we get on with the rest of our offense. But I think that's one way of doing it. Just kind of get his feet wet a little bit.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and this is the kind of team that you can do that against. Not to say that just because they're 1-6 or 1-6-1 that you can do whatever you want, but we saw them take that shot against Jacksonville. And it worked, but then they kind of went away from it. It was kind of a struggle the rest of the way through until the fourth quarter. So if you do take that shot, and even if you don't hit like the big play, if you see that, hey, they're susceptible to the deep ball, you got to keep that in the back of your mind. So let's try it again. So maybe not target Stingley, but target whoever their cornerback 2 is. Hopefully Tony can help us out with that. But yeah, I want to see them. You're absolutely right. I really want to see them get Golladay involved as soon as possible because like you said, you can't have him have 0 targets or 1 target through the first 2-3 quarters and then be like, all right, fourth quarter, got to turn it up. Let's throw it to 19. He's going to be like, oh, you haven't thrown it my way all day. So it's just, that's kind of what we saw against Dallas. They didn't throw it to him until like the fourth quarter, and then he had that drop, which obviously hurt our chances to win the game. So they're going to get him involved, do it very early. Some comments here.
I like Desmond King.
That's right. I forgot. Desmond King, yep. There's cornerback 2 for you. He's worried about Jones doing a lot of rushing himself. Tony, I would like to think they have some design runs because he could not run the ball at all against Seattle. They had a very good game plan for our offense.
Really
So
good.
hopefully the Texans
Fielded the
don't.
ball.
Alex, since the Giants lost by 2 scores in their last game, let's win by 2 scores in this game, hopefully, especially against a team that has 1 win. We can't keep getting victories by 1 score. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I think this is the game that you can say you have to avoid that. Let's come back in the fourth quarter because you have to, at some point, you have to beat a team that you're supposed to beat. These coming games, you're supposed to beat the Texans. You're supposed to beat the Lions. Why don't we just have one game at least where we're not like biting our nails and getting the puke bags ready for the fourth quarter?
I don't know, man. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't see it. This team is not cut out. It's not constituted for a multi-score victory. This is a tight team that's going to scrap its way through. I would just try and get the W, man. I think the Texans are going to give us everything we can handle. But if you wanted to try and get a semi-comfortable win, the key is to score early. First couple of drives, get in the end zone, get that confidence. See, with teams that are underdogs or the Texans' case, 1-win teams, you don't want to give them an opportunity early, you know what I mean, to give them confidence. If their confidence is low, they're maybe a couple scores behind on the road in an intimidating place like New York / New Jersey, then that can help us. And then we might be okay, maybe, press the foot on their necks and just close the deal. But if you leave it in kind of a 1-score game and it's late, then the Texans are going to be very confident that they can do stuff. But the Texans have a good personnel, man. As you mentioned, look at their cornerback room: Derek Stingley, Desmond King. On offense, Pierce, who's having an immense rookie year. Brandon Cooks is a great receiver. So I think that the Giants win, but I think it's going to be like 21-17.
And with that, why don't we get into our predictions? It's been a little while. Obviously, the Giants didn't play last week, so it's time for predictions for tomorrow. Here we go. Right out of the gate, Tony's got one. He said Texans 19, Giants 16. Tony, don't like it. I don't like your prediction at all. But
I don't like it.
So Tony's got his in. You just went with, you said what, 21-17?
Yeah, I'm going to go 21-17 Giants.
I do think you're right that it's going to be one of those closer games, as much as I'd like to see a 2-score victory. But I don't think we're going to put up a huge amount of points, but I do think we'll get over 20. I'm going to say 24-13. So I do think we'll get that 2-possession win, but it won't be like 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. 24-13.
Ooh, so our defense been locked down. That would be great.
Would love it.
So we'll get Tony's score in there.
Alex has 26-13. So
oh my God, Alex. Stealing Rob's number here. Get creative, Alex. Come on.
Alex wants that 2-score victory. Why don't you just go to 27? Why the 26? We going to miss an extra?
Yeah, why the 20? Wouldn't be 27 be easier to reach than 26?
Were we going to get like 2 touchdowns and nothing but field goals?
A million field goals. For Gano will be like exhausted after it. Right, okay. We got Tony's score. We'll get Tony's score in there because he's kind enough to join us. So we will get that in there. 16-19 Tony. Okay. Other predictions for the game. Yardage for Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones and me.
The mayor of Dimesville is back. Giants are back. Giants need a win. Daniel Jones has a big weapon back in his arsenal finally. I think Danny Dimes, almost called him Danny Jimes, Danny Dimes throws for 223 yards, and I think he'll get 2 touchdowns. Alex says 214 for Mr. Jones. And Tony says 130. He's just completely
He's killing. He's
killing.
killing you. Now, is this all-purpose or just passing?
Just passing.
Okay. Now it's up to myself. Yeah. I think, Rob, you're on the right path with that 223 number. I'm going to go 240.
240. Okay.
And a rushing touchdown. So let's get to Saquon, the greatest athlete in the world.
Tony's already got him with 161 and 2 scores. So, Tony, you got Barkley with 2 touchdowns. Does that mean we're getting a safety? You got us with 16 points. Or are we going for 2 or something like that both times and getting it?
You see, that's why you're smart. That's why you're the smart one of the two, because you figured that out super quick. I think you've figured out a hole in Tony Clark's argument right there. You're going to score 161 and 2 touchdowns. How the hell are you only putting up 16 points? Is Daniel Jones like throwing 8 interceptions or something? Like, how are we getting to that number? So, okay, we'll get it down anyway. Rob.
All right, so Saquon. So I think Jones will have a better day offensively. I think they're going to lean a little bit less, miss 2-point conversion, and a field goal. Okay. So he has us missing a couple of opportunities there. I don't like it. I still don't like it, Tony. You're really disappointing me. Alex says Barkley with 97 rushing yards and 30 receiving. So
I think that's too low. Alex, you disappoint me.
I do think he'll eclipse 100. I think he's going to finish with 140 all-purpose, but I don't think he gets the end zone.
Okay. Now, myself, let's think about it, because I think 140 all-purpose is probably about right. Because we're going to be riding him like Seabiscuit in this game. So, I'm going Saquon 150 yards on the ground. 150 yards.
Wow.
I think Daniel Jones gets 1 rushing touchdown. I've got Giants scoring 21 points, right? So Saquon 150, he's getting 2 scores. 150 and 2 touchdowns for Saquon Barkley. Okay. Sacks.
Well, who gets the first touchdown? I just completely dropped my pen there.
First touchdown. I'm going to go with Saquon.
I want to do it. I really do. Every time I say it, though, it doesn't happen, and bad things happen, so I'm not going to do it because I want to see him succeed this week. The first touchdown will be Wan'Dale Robinson. I wanted to say Kenny, but I'm going to not jinx him this week.
You know, that could have happened. You'll be regretting it. Never go against your first thought.
Well, if I'm right, then great. If I'm wrong and he gets a touchdown, better. Alex says Slayton gets the first touchdown.
Okay. Number of sacks.
What did we have last week? 2? It was 2. 2 weeks ago we had 2. I'll say we get 4 this week. I think with O'Shane back and having a little more depth in our pass rush room, we can get some more pressure. We get 4 sacks. Matt Parrott was activated off the PUP list. Breaking news here from Alex. Okay. Matt Parrott's back.
Alex is bringing the fire in the chat. Alex got 3 sacks. Okay.
And he also says the Giants are elevating Lawrence Cager and defensive lineman Henry Mondeau from the practice squad for tomorrow's game. Alex, thank you for breaking the news for us there. So big news there. We get Matt Parrott back.
I mean, obviously I'd go 3 or 4, but there's no point in me having that. So I'm going to be extra positive and go 5.
I would love it. Tony says 3 for the Giants, 2 for the Texans.
Okay. And the number of turnovers. And sorry, the first turnover. What am I talking about? The first turnover for the Giants.
Who gets the first turnover for us, if any? Did we have one last week? Or against Seattle? I don't think we did.
Didn't we? Pretty sure we did. I can't remember. It's 2
Oh.
weeks ago.
Did they force a fumble?
I think they did.
Like that?
Picked by Moreau.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. Dory Jackson had the fumble recovery. Okay.
That's right.
So I'm going to say it's going to be a fumble recovery. Yeah, Alex just confirmed it, Dory Jackson. I'm going to say we get a fumble recovery from Dexter Lawrence.
Tibbs. Fumble recovery.
All right. Tony says the Giants will have 3 turnovers. Texans will have 2. Love will get his first interception off of Mills. We'll get the first interception. He's got Julian Love getting it.
I can see that. I was thinking about Julian Love.
Mills does have 8 picks on the season, so he's certainly susceptible to throwing the interceptions. 1 per game, essentially.
Thank you for that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much. Oh yeah, receiver with the most yardage.
Right. Darius Slayton.
Slay the dragon.
Slim pickings as usual, even with
Yeah. It's tough for me. It won't be Galladay. I have to go. I'd go Slayton, but if you've already gone Slayton, I'm gonna go Slayton too, because then at least I don't lose.
Tony and Alex also go Slayton. Clean sweep here. Darius Slayton, you're on the clock. It is up to you to prove us right.
I was gonna go Wandale, but it'd be safer to go Slay. Slay the dragon, Slay. Or Slay the Texan, I should say.
Hopefully
let's get our weekly picks on the go.
That's right. We did not pick last week, so
I know I was annoyed because I had the best week ever in the boys in Big Apple. I think I only had 1 loss the entire week. I won every single game.
big week for Donald. That wasn't, at least here. So I believe after 8 weeks, we're either tied or do I have the 5-3 advantage over you?
Oh my God. We need to count that. I forgot to count. We need to check that out.
You go back and figure that out. However, we already got our pick in for the Giants Texans. We do have a game at 9:30 tomorrow. Isn't that in Germany?
Yeah.
Seattle and the Bucks.
My helmet's moving. It's disappearing. Oh, it's gone away. So, with a German game, it's the Bucks and the
Seahawks. Who would have thought the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks and the 4-5 Buccaneers?
Give me Tom Brady.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm going to go Seattle. I think they're just riding such a high wave right now, and they're going overseas. They're gonna keep the momentum going. Alex has the Bucks, and Tony has Seattle. This should be flexed. Vikings, Bills.
That's a good game, but I believe that Josh Allen's out, right?
Is it confirmed that he's out, or is it still like
I
up
think
in
it's
the air
very
thing?
much up in the air. If any of you guys get that information before we check it out, I'm going to just check it out just now. Let's see, just because that's obviously very important. If he's out, then 100% Vikings. If he's
That is
okay, it
so
says here Bills don't elevate third quarterback Josh Allen in line to be active.
okay.
It says yeah, Josh Allen set to start versus Vikings after being listed as questionable. Wow.
Alex once again bringing in the big news. He's just like you mentioned. Tony says Vikings in a blowout.
Okay, well that's not happening.
I do think the Vikings win simply because I'm not sure how healthy Allen is. I know he's playing. I just don't know how healthy he is. Although Kirk Cousins, for that dance he was doing on the plane, deserves to lose at least one more game. But I still think the Vikings take this one.
Alex, what should I do? Because I went Vikings on the boys in the Big Apple, but that was prior to knowing that Josh Allen's back. Now the Bills had an awful week last week.
They did.
You would think that they want to turn it around.
Alex also says Minnesota.
In that case, if everyone's going Minnesota, I will go the opposite. I'm going to go Bills.
Okay. Matchup in the NFC North as the Lions take on the Bears in Chicago. Justin Fields is starting to move the football.
Yes.
Starting to put up some points, but their defense, which they weakened by trading away their two best players, gives up points in bunches. The Lions are a good offense. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, but then the Lions got rid of T.J. Hawkinson.
That is true. Who's at Minnesota now?
I'm going Chicago.
I'm going to stick with the Lions. And Tony as well says the Lions, and Alex says the Bears. So we got a little 2-2 there. Broncos at 3-5, visiting the 5-3 Tennessee Titans. I still don't know what to think about Denver.
Yeah, I'm with Titans.
Yeah, Titans are a 3-point favorite. So I'm taking the Titans. See what we get here from Alex and Tony. However, as we wait on those, the next game on there is Jacksonville and Kansas City.
KC.
Yeah, I don't think Alex has the Titans. And so does Tony. So it's a clean sweep for the Titans. I think it's safe to assume it's a clean sweep for the Chiefs as well. Yep. Tony says KC, and Alex might as well pencil him in. Unless he's going to go absolutely insane for the chaos and pick Jacksonville.
KC by times 4 for sure. Let's go Chiefs. Mahomes is my boy.
Mahomie. Now we got
He's Mahomie.
Browns visiting the Dolphins.
Give me Miami, who we'll be seeing live in January.
Yes, for Dolphins and Jets. Should be a fun one. I think the Dolphins are they're so interesting because, like, you can't stop them, but you can score on them. So,
Alex, because your brother's probably not watching, are you going for the Los Dolphinos or Los Airplane in January?
Who are you rooting for in the game in January? That's. Don't tell Luca. I'll take Miami in this one.
We're all amongst Giant fans here.
Yeah, and a Texan. Got the Saints and the Steelers. in Pittsburgh.
I'm rooting for OR.
I don't know what that means. OR. So like some slang that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Tony has
Right.
the Saints beating the
OR.
Steelers. The word "or."
Oh, so neither.
I guess I'm so confused right now.
That sunk, Alex. You could have done better. Okay. I
We got the Saints and Steelers.
was like, okay. So we got Saints and Steelers. I am going Saints here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the. God, I can't. I don't think I can pick the Steelers anymore. I'm gonna take the Saints as well.
Yeah, I like Olave. I agree with Tony. I like Olave in this matchup.
As we wait for Alex's pick, Mr. Orr, it's the Colts and the Raiders. The next game on the list.
Colts and the Raiders.
In Vegas. It's in Vegas.
I mean, I'm going Raiders because the Colts don't actually have a head coach.
Or a quarterback. Or a running back. Is Taylor healthy?
And clearly not a very good owner, considering he just hired a head coach off the street. Like, have you ever coached before? Nope. Oh, you're perfect. You're perfect. Exactly what we're looking for.
Alex says the Steelers because they get TJ Watt back. So Alex picks the Steelers for that one. I think the Raiders should take this one. Although the Raiders stink, so I wouldn't be surprised if they lose.
So you're going Raiders or Colts?
Yeah, I'm going Raiders.
Raiders don't have Waller. Yeah, but Waller's not been used that much all year.
Tony's got the Colts.
Yeah. I'm going Raiders. You're going Raiders, am I right?
Yeah. Speaking of teams that stink, the Packers are hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Packers just can't win.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers cause an upset. I was debating it on with Alex, but I ended up going with the Cowboys because their defense is too strong.
Yeah, I know. I just said the Packers haven't been able to win, but that will change tomorrow afternoon. The Packers pull out the victory at home against the Cowboys.
Go, Rob. I love
I
it.
need it. Alex says Cowboys, and so does Tony. So I'm the only one going with Green Bay. Cardinals at 3-6 visit the Rams at 3-5. Two very disappointing teams.
Very disappointing. I had both as playoff teams, and it's looking like neither.
I can honestly flip a coin and have that determine my pick.
I can't call it because the Rams don't have a running game. They don't have an offensive line. Stafford's struggling with mobility. He's struggling for passing options, apart from Cooper Kupp. And their defense has not been as locked down as I would have expected.
Tony says the Cardinals win in a horrible game. It's gonna be like 6-3.
Probably agree with him right there. But I'm not decided yet. Rob?
Yeah, I want to pick the Rams because they're at home, but I just don't know if the Cardinals have a lot more weapons now, and I just don't know if the Rams have enough to stop it. Although Kyler was arguing with Hopkins, who knows what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like their coach. I really don't like what's going on in Arizona. There's too much talent for them to play the way they are. The same can be said about the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams, though. I think
right. Okay. Had you for the Cards? Okay. I mean, they're getting Jefferson. They've gotten Jefferson back.
Could help. Should help.
I like him. He's fast. Robinson's been a total disaster.
To say the least.
We got Cooper Cup, but I hate the running game situation.
Did Cup get hurt last week, or was I just seeing?
Yeah, he did get hurt, but I think he's going to be okay.
If they have any hope of winning, he better be okay.
The Cards. I'm going to go with Cards.
All right. Sunday night, Alex picks the Cardinals as well. Once again, alone on this hill. Sunday night football. We got the Chargers taking on the 49ers. Could be the Chargers are apparently 7.5-point underdogs here.
Well, yeah. I mean, what a disastrous year for Keenan Allen. What a disastrous year for Keenan Allen fantasy owners.
They're still 5-3 though. So despite their
only passing option is Palmer.
And Williams.
He's hurt.
That's right, he is hurt. I forgot about him.
Eckler's
their leading receiver.
Of course.
Out of the
He's
back.
the only option. And Everett.
Yes, Everett's having himself a pretty solid year.
Like,
all things considered.
Never gets old, Everett. But Herbert is not the same Herbert as he was last year. So I will be going 49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers just got the weapon of all weapons.
Tony Herbert was in my fantasy league as well. He's in my fantasy league that I got with Rob and Alex, and I'm currently trying to trade him, but nobody seems to want him.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
Very disappointed. Okay.
I think if this was in LA, I still wouldn't be confident because it'd be all 49ers fans anyway. So I'm going to take the Niners.
I'm going 49ers as well.
As we await Alex's pick, the final game, the Washington Commanders at 4-5, bit of a winning streak, but they visit Lincoln Financial Field to take on the 8-0 Eagles. I really want the upset to take place. I just can't see it happening. Eagles.
Two teams I do not like, but at least the Eagles have good football players and they play good brand of football. So give me the Eagles.
Tony picks the Commanders. He's going for chaos. He's going for the upset.
Well, Tony, you're having a really good show until this point. I think you might regret that pick.
And that does wrap up the week. So I don't know if Alex picks the Eagles as well. Alex, I don't think you picked the Chargers.
I think you're going the Eagles as well, Rob, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I would love for them to lose. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see the Commanders being able to pull that off. And Alex as well picks the 49ers. So that does wrap up the week for picks. And I think that's just about it for us here. We've gone for pretty much an hour, broke down the game. We all think the Giants are going to win except for Tony. But hopefully we will have a victory to celebrate tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be fun.
Tony, feel free to come on when we do our post-game show when we're hopefully celebrating a W.
Yeah, because if we're talking about a loss, Tony's not going to let us hear the end of it. Because we've kind of given him the shite all day for his predictions. So hopefully we're right and Tony's wrong, and that'll be a good thing to celebrate. But that is going to do it for us here at Nerd.
I'd be happy too. Well, Tony, thanks so much for coming on, man. I hope you're enjoying your new apartment because he's just moved into a new apartment. So I hope it's going well for you. And Alex, thank you so much for joining us, man. Hopefully have you on our Victory Sunday stream. We'll see how it goes.
As is tradition. So for us here at Nerd and Out Sports, thank you to Alex and Tony that were in the chat, and thank you to everybody that might catch this in the DVR version. Point to the NY logo. I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but this multicolored hat, I love it. Just love it. Show that NY. Hopefully the Giants come away with the W because 7-2 would look so sweet. That is going to do it for us. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. We will see you all tomorrow after the game, win or loss. Let's go Giants. Peace out.
Salute.